Welcome to our 16th annual Celebrating Women's Athletic event. I'm Kate Madigan. I'm a member of the Binghamton Bearcats Athletic Association Board, a former collegiate athlete, and chair of this year's event. On behalf of our hardworking committee, Binghamton University, and each of our alumni, we extend our heartfelt wishes for good health and safety for you and your families during these very challenging times. This evening's program will inspire you. It will engage you, and we will conclude with a very special message from President Harvey Stenger. I also want to extend very special thanks to the BU Athletic Department staff who have truly gone above and beyond. Also, thanks to the Celebrating Women in Athletics Committee and its determined efforts to reach all of you, as well as the entire Binghamton Bearcats Athletic Association Board for their tireless effort in bringing us together this evening. I'd also like to give a special shout out to Jerry Putman, who is our president of the Binghamton Bearcats Athletic Association, and of course, our deepest gratitude to all of our student athletes, coaches, and all of you, our supporters and generous partners who have made this event what it is tonight. This all began with a small group of local women leaders with a desire to raise needed scholarship funds for our women athletes. And since 2009, 60 scholarships have been awarded in what is considered one of the most unique women's athletic fundraising events in the United States. A very warm and special thanks to our keynote speaker, Breanna Stewart, along with our distinguished Binghamton University panelists, whose presence here tonight has helped us achieve this milestone. Now, I'd like to welcome our athletic and very energetic Binghamton University President, Harvey Stenger.
Hey Binghamton, Harvey here. Guess what? It's that time of year again. It's time for the Celebrating Women's Athletics Lunch. I want to thank everyone for being here virtually, contributing to the cost of this lunch that we're not even feeding you so that we can give even more scholarships this year from the contributions made by those who are attending. We have a fabulous program for you, but first I want to thank the coaches, trainers, the staff who have done an amazing job of getting all of our women's teams back out there playing this semester. Not only the spring sports, but all the fall sports, practicing every day, going to competitions. Who even knows who you're going to play this weekend? Depends on whether they tested positive or not. It's amazing. And then a big thank you, a really big thank you to our student athletes. The ladies who have come out to play those games in the bitter cold when it's normally August or September. I give you a lot of credit for doing that. So thank you, ladies, for what you've done. And I hope you have a great season, and I really look forward to this event today. I want you to join me as I pop in to visit our teams practicing today. Of course, socially distanced and masked. I don't want to screw this up for them. Here we go.
BU 1-2, BU!
We're making a video for the Celebrating Women's Athletics.
Oh yeah!
Oh, that was got me.
You go like the first step here, second step here, and then you just finish.
You're the best.
That's really good.
Man, you're fast.
Come on, keep going, keep going. You got it, come on. Go.
Oh my God, those hurt. Those are really hard. Oh, they wear gloves too, don't they? Hey Sarah, can I try?
Yeah, of course.
Cool, thanks, great. Haven't done this in a long time. I'm ready. Ready to go.
Yeah, on this field, we hold this bat this way.
Ah, I got it now. All right, we'll try one more.
Oh, shit. First take. Awesome.
Right there is where you would want it, but a little higher. You want
Yeah, you want to make sure you can.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't think I really jumped right. I got her, 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 I got her. Had her, had her.
Yeah, you were close.
I'm tired. Maybe next time we just go around and say hi to everybody. Enough of this practice stuff. Is your elbow tight or?
Yeah, it's like 90 degrees more or less.
90 degrees?
And your other hand is like a T here.
All right.
Awesome.
Oh. Watch out, Beth Ann. See a coach coming. Hey, Jalissa, over here. I'm open, I'm open. That's okay, it's my call. Oh, she's halfway to the net. I will try to do it exactly the way you did it. Have a good season.
Thank you.
Thanks, let me borrow the stick.
Of course.
You guys are great. I'm terrible, but you guys are great. Well, I learned a lot today. I hope it retains some of it, but these women athletes are incredible. They gave me some pointers. I might remember some of them. So go Bearcats, have a great season. See you soon.
Thanks so much, President Stenger. I think we all learned something else from these women athletes tonight, eh? Now, since the inception of celebrating women in athletics, we have raised more than $500,000 that directly impacts the Women's Athletic Scholarship Fund. And on behalf of the Binghamton Bearcats Athletic Association, I thank all of you. And now I'd like to introduce our Director of Athletics, the inimitable Patrick Elliott.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 16th annual Celebrating Women's Athletics luncheon. Well, it's an event, so I guess it's dinner tonight. But my name is Patrick Elliott, and I'm the Director of Athletics here. And we have over 600 attendees watching tonight, this is a really special event. You know, we would love to have everybody in person. Unfortunately, you know, we all know what the last year has brought. But we're just so appreciative of the fact that so many people have come together to make tonight a great night and be a lot of fun. I want to thank President Stenger, as always, for his great remarks. You know, it's always hard to follow him. And I will say something, stick around tonight because you're going to see something from a side of President Stenger that you probably haven't seen before. So, so don't change that dial anytime soon. I'd like to start off just by thanking our sponsor title, M&T Bank, and Peter Newman and his whole team. They, year in, year out, have always come up big for this event. Again, this event is critical for raising dollars and funding for scholarships for our women student athletes. And M&T Bank has been a loyal partner for us throughout many years. I'd also really love to, like to thank Kate Madigan. She's this year's chairperson for and the MC for tonight's event. We get Kate is playing various roles here, but Kate has always been a tremendous leader and partner with the athletics department. She's one of the pioneers of this very event, and we thank her so much for everything she's done. And also the entire CWA committee. We have so many people that are on this committee that have put forth their time and their energy to make this a great event, year in, year out, but most especially this year. We were trying to figure out how to deliver an event to you that's not in person, but that can really accentuate Binghamton women's athletics and what this is all about. I also, we have some great speakers tonight, starting off with Brianna Stewart. And Brianna, obviously a highly accomplished, elite women's basketball player, and we're so happy to have Brianna as part of tonight's festivities. I also think what is really, really special about tonight is some of the women executives, former women student athletes here at Binghamton, that are now out in the world of sports and who are working and who have graduated from this great institution and as now are executives, and they're trailblazers in and of themselves, and great models for our current female student athletes relative to what you can do in the business and how you can succeed. I would also, at this time, I want to talk about something that's been incredibly special over the last couple of weeks. We have a young lady, Emily Mackay. Emily is a senior, and she is our women's cross-country student athlete. Emily won the America East Women's Cross Country Championship a few weeks ago, and then she went to the NCAA Championship out in Oklahoma, and she finished 14th out of 255 student athletes, wearing Binghamton on her shirt, and she was named an All-American. And I think it's an incredible, incredible feat. Emily's from Union Endicott. So she's a local product. There's so many great local products within this area, local high school student athletes. And I think one of the most special parts about what Emily was able to do, if you remember kind of January and February here, I think the snow just melted a couple of weeks ago, so a couple days ago. So she had to train. She became an All-American in cross country by training literally on icy roads around this area, and so we're just so proud of her and so proud of her accomplishments. And again, she's an example of what this event does for our female student athletes, about what this event does to provide opportunity for them and access. And then, I would also really want to thank tonight's moderator and for tonight's, for our featured speaker with Brianna Stewart and the panel, Kai Moon. And Kai, she's only a year removed, but Kai is an incredible young woman, incredible. Right now she's starting off on a great career, a great trajectory, and we're so proud of Kai, but not surprised, because when she was here, everything that is I think great about female athletics, about leadership, about education, about character, Kai embodied all of that. And so we're not surprised with where she is right now and what she's doing, and the fact that she is now the moderator for tonight. And we thank Kai for that and for her time. And it's good to see her. It's good to see her back, at least virtually. And now I'd like to recognize the 10 female student athletes who are recipients for this academic year of the BBAA Women's Scholarships. And again, the proceeds from this event this evening and all of these efforts, they will continue to fund the 10 scholarships which represent every women's sport here at the university. Sarah Herskowitz, softball. Abigail McHugh, women's swimming. Tyra Wilson, volleyball. Bree Distler, women's lacrosse. Haley Polterak, women's soccer. Ellie Scherer, women's track. Janae Bowman, women's basketball. Anna Spries, volleyball. Dora Hayes, women's soccer. Michelle Eisenberg, women's tennis. And you'll have an opportunity to hear Michelle in a little bit as she is our student speaker for tonight's event. So to these 10 ladies, we are so proud of you, and you're so deserving of these scholarships. And we're proud to call you Binghamton University student athletes. And then, you know, again, just wanted to also thank, there were a big team of people, you know, certainly Kate and the committee, but there were a lot of folks within this athletics department and around the university that made tonight what it is. Thanking Betty Ann Gauby, Brian Jester, Mike Majewski. You know, these are folks who took an event that was in person that we just kind of rolled out and putting it in a virtual, making it a virtual event with all of these different, technologies and everything else. Jeremy Donovan and his staff. So we're just so appreciative. I'd also like to thank Ryan Yarosh and University Communications and Marketing and their staff for assisting in the production of this event. Again, it took a lot of people to make this thing, to make tonight be something that, you know, we felt was of a high quality and a high value that was fitting for an event like this. So, again, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for your generosity. Thank you for your continual support of Binghamton Athletics and for the Celebrating Women's Athletics initiative. Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pat. And now, on behalf of the Celebrating Women Athletics Committee, I wish to congratulate each of the 10 Binghamton Bearcats Athletic Association scholarship recipients and also recognize Emily's incredible and fantabulous accomplishment. We are all so proud of each and every one of you. And now, I'm pleased to introduce and welcome Peter Newman, Regional President of M&T Bank, our major sponsor.
My name is Peter Newman, and I'm the Regional President for M&T Bank. Looking back on what we've gone through since the 2020 Celebrating Women's Athletic Luncheon, I think we can all agree on this. There has never been a more necessary time to support our students. Many of us have been fortunate to have had a traditional on-campus collegiate experience. We were accustomed to our mentors and team members being within physical reach, down the hall, down the street, or nearby in our community. Never could we have imagined being isolated for months on end, with our health and careers and loved ones imperiled by this pandemic. Raising support for our local athletics could have fallen by the wayside as we adjust to this very abnormal new normal. But that's not what happened. The Binghamton Bearcats Athletics Association has found a way for us to connect. This event provides lifelines to dozens of female students each year. It gives them sparks of hope. It gives us a venue to share their achievements and to start laying the groundwork for one's upcoming. Our team at M&T Bank believes the Celebrating Women's Athletic Luncheon is an important initiative to help our neighbors succeed and our communities thrive. And especially important today, it keeps us together. Thank you again for the opportunity to welcome you today. Now, let's get ready for what is sure to be a motivating and inspiring event.
Thank you, Peter. We are so grateful and appreciative of M&T Bank's generosity and support. Your commitment to BU Women's Athletics truly makes a difference. Thank you again. And now, it is my honor to introduce our next speaker, a 2021 Binghamton Bearcats Athletic Association scholarship recipient and women's tennis student athlete, Michelle Eisenberg.
Thank you and good evening. Every year, I leave this event feeling positive and inspired from the stories told by the other student athletes. Every person who comes up to speak says that they never would have expected themselves to be speaking in front of all of these people their freshman year. Now I stand here, under different circumstances, but I can agree that to be true. It has been a roller coaster over 5 years, but I'm excited to share some of the experiences that have made me into the student athlete that I am today. Every college athlete has had a season either taken away or drastically changed from this pandemic, me included. What we've been through, and what the world has been through, is absolutely devastating. And while I did lose a very important year or two of my college experience, I know that so many other people have lost so much more. For what it's worth, my condolences go out to anyone who has lost someone close to them. Fortunately, things are starting to look up, so let's take a moment to celebrate what brings us all together today: women's athletics. I did have an athletics career before COVID-19 made its debut. Let's start at the beginning. I'm from Weston, Florida, near Fort Lauderdale for context, and I grew up playing tennis and also training in gymnastics. I started competing in both sports in elementary school. By high school, I was competing as both a level 10 gymnast and a top-ranked tennis player in the state of Florida. I loved gymnastics more than anything, but I ultimately chose to play tennis in college because there were more opportunities in schools that offered it. Binghamton seemed like the perfect place for me to excel both athletically and academically. The beginning of my college tennis career brought many challenges both externally and internally. Due to changes within the conference, I would not have the opportunity to play in a championship tournament moving forward. Previously, Binghamton women's tennis had been a strong contender in the America East Conference, and I was looking forward to contributing to the team's potential. As disappointing as this was, I just had to learn that it was out of my control. What I could control was the way I responded to it. So I worked hard and prepared myself as best I could for the fall season. The internal challenges came at the beginning of the fall season. My first tournament was extremely overwhelming. Tennis is an individual sport, so every match brings a ton of pressure because the only person you can count on is yourself. When you're playing for a team, you now have added pressure of playing for something bigger than yourself. I struggled with this extra pressure at first, but as the fall season went on, I got better and better. I started to gain confidence in myself and truly believed that I was capable of beating anyone who stepped in front of me. I ended up having a very successful fall season, winning a tournament and qualifying for the main draw of the ITA regional tournament. I couldn't wait to see what was in store for me for our main spring season. As the end of the semester neared, I got to spend more time with my teammates outside of tennis. We had developed a strong team dynamic, and the times we spent together were never shy of a blast. But on December 2nd, 2016, everything changed. My teammate, Stephanie Laneva, left early from a gathering we had all gone to together. Nobody had heard from her that night or the next morning, and we later had found out that she had been hit by a car and killed. It was one of the most devastating things that I had ever experienced. When you're a team of only 9 girls, you get close pretty quickly. Losing a teammate is not something anyone ever expects to go through. Not like that. We were all sent home to be with our families to try and recover from the trauma. It wasn't easy, but with time, I was able to shift my focus back to tennis. I wanted to be ready to play, not only for the team, but for Steph as well. By the time I returned for the spring, I was feeling ready to compete. The week of our first match, I was playing great, even better than I had been in the fall. I was playing some competitive points against one teammate when I took a leap toward a ball and a hard landing to the ground. I don't remember hearing or feeling a pop. I don't remember if I screamed or not. I just remember being on the ground in pain and being in complete denial of the fact that I had just severely injured myself. I had torn my right ACL and would have to have surgery. I kept hoping that I would wake up the next morning and be fine. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. It was going to be a long road to get back on the court. I had been so excited to compete for my team and to see what I was capable of, and it was all taken away in 1 second. I spent the season rehabbing day in and day out, both pre and post-surgery, and for the remainder of the season, I traveled to matches and supported and coached my teammates from the sidelines. I continued to rehab and finally got back on the court in the fall. I played my first match in October of 2017. It was a huge accomplishment for me physically to be competing again only 8 months after surgery. However, I was not prepared of the mental struggles I would face stepping back out into competition. I felt completely lost. Tennis is a very mental sport. You have to be 100% focused the entire time and figure out how to play your opponent, planning, adjusting, and executing strategies, all while remaining calm and keeping your emotions under control. This is mentally exhausting over the course of a full match. When you haven't done it in several months, it can be a real shock to the system. I kept comparing myself to how I was playing before my injury. My frustrations grew because I was worried I would never get back to the level I had once reached. However, over a number of seasons, practices, and matches, I was slowly able to let go of the player I had been before getting hurt. With time, I regained confidence in myself and grew into a new player, different from freshman year, but better. Although last season was cut short due to COVID, and this season has been strange to say the least, I'm happy with the level I've been able to reach, and I look forward to finishing out the rest of the season strong. Binghamton has provided me with so much more than just a college athletics experience. I've been honored to be a recipient of the BBAA scholarship. This scholarship has allowed me to pursue my athletics as well as my academic career at Binghamton. I'm proud to say that I will be leaving here with both a bachelor's and a master's degree in accounting, and I have accepted a full-time offer to start working at KPMG in New York City in the fall. I have also passed the first 3 parts of the CPA exam and plan to take the final part this month. The generous donations made to this scholarship fund have made these accomplishments possible for me and will continue to help other female student athletes achieve their greatest goals. I'm so grateful to all of the supporters of women's athletics at Binghamton. I've been through so much these past 5 years, but it has made me realize that I can truly handle anything that life throws at me. Now, I certainly have not gone through it all alone. There are so many people who have made my experience at Binghamton unforgettable. First, my teammates. I will never forget the bonds that we made and the times that we shared together. Without some of my more spontaneous teammates, I would have never found out my absolute love for karaoke. It's unfortunate that the ones I got closest to are the ones who live the farthest away, but I'm so thankful for those relationships we have formed. Next, I want to thank my coach, Coach Libby McGovern. We have butted heads more times than I can count since I've been here, but we've both learned and grown so much from each other. She's unfortunately had to take on the role of being the bearer of bad news, and with so much experience over the past few years, she's gotten really good at it. Libby's a great coach, but even more than that, she's an amazing person. She would do anything for her players and genuinely cares about us as people. I'm so appreciative of her and everything that she's put into this team. Next, I want to thank my twin sister and teammate Samara. She played on the team before having her senior season cut short due to COVID. Samara carried the team with her unmatched intensity that she brought to every practice and competition. She pushed me and my tennis to the limit. But more importantly, she was by my side through it all. Even though we've been separated this year, we're still closer than ever. I'm so proud of Samara for everything that she's accomplished both at Binghamton and since she graduated. She's been excelling in her career as an actuary and absolutely destroys every actuarial exam she takes. Next, I want to thank my coach from home, Brett Kurtz. He was my go-to person through everything. He kept me sane through my injury, my comeback, and every other challenge I faced along the way. I'm so grateful for all of the time and care that he's given me. He's been a coach, a mentor, an ear, and most importantly, a friend who always seemed to understand what I was going through better than anyone. I would not have gotten through college without him. Finally, I want to thank my mom. She has always been my biggest supporter and has loved me through everything. She's the best role model and parent I or anyone could ever ask for. She's truly unbelievable, and I can't thank her for everything that she's done for me over the years. While this reflection of my experience doesn't even scratch the surface of everything I've been through, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to share it with all of you. I truly believe that I've left my mark on this team and on Binghamton. I'm proud of the person I've become, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds. But I will always remember and cherish my time as a Bearcat. Thank you so much to everyone for your time, and I hope you have a good night.
Thank you, Michelle. Your story, your message, your perseverance and grit exemplify the true meaning of what it is to be a Bearcat student athlete. We are so proud to hear about your inspirational journey and how Binghamton University has prepared you for the next chapter in your life. Best of luck, Michelle. Always remember that you are a BU Bearcat for life. And now, what an extraordinary privilege it is to introduce two very special guests for tonight's Celebrating Women in Athletics event. WNBA All-Star, four-time NCAA National Champion, this evening's featured speaker, Breanna Stewart. Moderating and speaking with Breanna will be one of our very own Bearcat alums and one of Binghamton University's greatest all-time women's basketball student athletes, Kai Moon.
Hi, today we're joined by the great, legendary Breanna Stewart. Breanna, thank you so much for being here and taking the time to talk to me and to speak to all of us. I know you're in Russia right now currently. How is that? What's Russia like? What's going on?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be able to talk with you as well. But I am in Russia right now. I am in a city called Ekaterinburg, so it's east of Moscow. I always have to like put my map in my head when I'm thinking about it. And it's pretty cold here for my New Yorkers, my Binghamton people. Today when I walked outside, it was -8. So for it to be March and still -8, it's great. But we're just finishing regular season and we are getting ready to go into playoffs and just finish strong.
Wow, the dedication is real. -8 degrees. You're from Syracuse, an hour away from Binghamton. What was that like for you growing up?
Being from Syracuse, for me, it was, it's a big basketball city. And growing up, I was there when Melo and Coach Boeheim won the national championship. But I remember going to the parade and feeling that type of energy. And, that's one of the reasons. Also, my dad was another reason that really got me involved in basketball. I mean, I'm proud to be from Syracuse, proud to be growing up in the cold, as you've grown up in the cold as well. And it makes me more ready for places like Russia.
Definitely. I want to switch gears a little bit with you and take you back to your college days. Obviously, you committed to play for the Connecticut women's basketball team, perennial powerhouse. I think it's hard to think about UConn and not also think about Geno Auriemma. How do you feel like he was able to push you specifically as a player?
Yeah, so looking back to when I went to UConn, I mean, when I committed, the reason I went to UConn was because I wanted to be pushed to be the best. And that's because of Coach Auriemma and really all those players that he's brought through that program and how they've left and been so much better. So for me, he started pushing me the day I walked on campus. It's like when you're a freshman, and Kai, you know this, and for those that don't and that are going to college, you're a freshman, you walk in, you're like, oh, I know how to work hard. I know how to do these things. And oh, yeah. And then it's like, nope. So he taught me how to work hard, like on a whole nother level, how to, get stronger physically, get stronger mentally, and, made it so my hardest days were the days in practice. And then when we had the game, it was time to go and, put it all out on the court and put everything into use. But going to UConn was the best decision I ever made, because I don't know where I would be basketball-wise if I didn't go there. And just really having that hunger and drive and having them help me heighten that and take that as I continue to be a pro is something that, you know, not everybody has.
I think one of the most remarkable statistics about you in your time in college was that in your 4 years, you only lost 5 games. 4 of those came in your freshman year. So I took calc sophomore year, but if the math adds up, you only lost 1 game in 3 years. Being as though you were always one of the top programs in the country, and you were the central focus of a lot of that from the time you stepped on campus, did you ever find the pressure and managing expectations difficult as a 19 and 20-year-old kid?
I did. I definitely had a hard time my freshman year, you know, because like I was saying a little bit earlier, you know, you come in as a freshman and you're not really sure what to expect. You know, I know I'm going to #1 UConn. I'm going to this powerhouse. I'm going to Coach Auriemma. I'm going to a place where Maya played and Sue and Dee. And it was like, you know, when I started, I was like on this great high. And then I had like the middle of a season where it was just kind of going downhill, downhill, downhill. And it was kind of like, you know, having that moment where it was like, I can't fail. I don't want to fail. And what is failure? And those were things that I had to work through. And not to say what I did before UConn was easy, because it definitely wasn't. Each level has its own hardships, I would say. But, you know, I had to really dig deep and look within and see how I could get better. And as an 18-year-old, you know, there's not a lot of 18-year-olds that are like, okay, how do I fix this situation right now? But continuing to put that pressure on myself, continuing to kind of get in the gym. And I think that's where I learned the mentality. It was like, if things aren't going well for me, then I'm going to make them go well for me. I'm going to force it to kind of go well. And that's going to be in the gym, in the weight room, doing all these extra things. Obviously, my academics have to be, you know, up here as well. But making sure that no one put more pressure on me than myself.
You obviously finished your collegiate career on a strong note. You got your 4th championship, 4th most outstanding player award. And then you go on to be the #1 pick in the WNBA draft to the Seattle Storm. And in your first 2 seasons, you guys struggled a little bit. How did you handle that transition after just leaving a program that had a very strong, long-standing winning culture?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it. I lost 5 games when I was at UConn, and I went to Seattle, and in my rookie year, I think we lost like 19. So I was like not used to it at all. And I remember, so my first game, I'm kind of going wherever I want with this, but my first game was against LA. So it was against Candace Parker at Staples Center. And I'm like, whoa, I'm going to play against Candace. I'm going to play at Staples. Like, this is going to be great. We're going to win. And we get smoked by 30, like smoked. And it was kind of like, whoa, you know, like, this is the WNBA. And I went into the locker room and I was kind of like, I was upset. You know, I haven't lost this many games in a long time. And it was that would be my sixth loss in 4 years. And my teammates were like, where are we going to go to dinner? And I was like, what? I'm like, dinner? I'm like, we just lost.
Nobody's eating tonight.
Exactly. We're not eating. We're not leaving the room. But it just goes to show that, you know, at the professional level, especially in the WNBA, we have games so frequently and so quickly that the turnaround is so quick. And it's kind of like, all right, you need to put that win, put that loss right behind you and focus on the next thing. And, you know, like you said, my first 2 years in the league were definitely a struggle, but it was, I would say, something that we had to go through, something that I had to go through to kind of learn how to win in the WNBA, learn how to win at that level. And now, I mean, looking back and winning my second championship, I'm okay with my first 2 years being a struggle.
And obviously learning how to win wasn't the only adversity you ever faced. You obviously tore your Achilles in 2019, crippling injury, long recovery period. How did you handle that mentally? And what were some of the things you struggled with? Were there ever concerns that you wouldn't be able to come back the same player?
Yeah. So I ruptured my Achilles, like you said, in April of 2019. I was actually overseas. I was playing for a Russian team. We were in the EuroLeague Final Four in Sopron, Hungary. And, you know, it was one of those moments where I went up for a shot, and I've gone up for a shot thousands of times. And when I went up, something happened. And right then and there, I knew I ruptured my Achilles. I don't know how I knew, but I knew. And, you know, I've heard KD say this before, Kevin Durant, and it's kind of like, you know, when he did his, you see your career flash in front of your eyes. And that's what I had. It was kind of like I was 23 at the time. And it's like, what's next? This is like the worst injury in basketball. How am I supposed to overcome this? What, like all these things going through your mind. So yeah, needless to say, I definitely struggled, and I definitely had, you know, good and bad days. And I always remember when I went to see my physical therapist, and when we were like really about to start, he was like, this is going to be a roller coaster of a journey. You're going to have highs and lows, and you're going to, you know, like I said, have good days and bad days. You're going to have things that, you know, you just have to have faith in and trust in the fact that you're going to be able to be back better than what you were. But it was scary, you know, because there was some moments that I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, I couldn't walk for 3 months. Like I couldn't even walk. So I was like, okay, so how am I supposed to be able to run and jump and, you know, play in the WNBA and be an Olympian? But I stuck to the grind, and I continued to show up. And I think that's the thing is, you know, we're all given adversity in life, and it's really about the way that you handle it going forward and what you're going to make out of it. And I think that looking back on my injury, I'm really not happy about it still, but I think that it was a blessing in disguise, you know, ability for me to appreciate basketball even more. You know, I don't think I ever took it for granted, but to be able to realize that, you know, I may not know when my last game is going to be, you know, so every time I step on the court, I want to leave everything on the court. And then on the other side of that is I had an opportunity to focus more on off the court things, you know, focusing more on being involved in the other side of basketball and being around my friends and family, because otherwise as a pro, we're playing year round. I go from WNBA to overseas to WNBA, and it just continues to go. So it's definitely a story, and now almost 2 years out from it, I'm happy with where I'm at, and I got a nice scar to kind of remind me of what happened.
You obviously rebounded very well from that injury, come back, you win a championship, another MVP award. And keeping focus with, I guess, last season, which was a very different season. Obviously, you guys move into the bubble format. And aside from just everything going on with the pandemic, you now have conversations about race and Black Lives Matter, social injustice at the forefront of national conversation almost on a daily basis. You are on the WNBA Social Justice Council. How did you perceive your role as an ally surrounding conversations about race in a league that's 80% Black?
I continue to be an ally for the Black community and the Black members of the WNBA and my teammates and friends and things like that, because there's no other place that I should be. You know, I think that you touched on a little bit, but especially this year, especially 2020, when we started that year, we entered the year with a pandemic, and we entered the year with a very heightened focus on racial injustice and the racism that was going on in our country. And I think that, you know, it was something where I remember having these moments where you know, obviously I'm white. I play for Team USA, and seeing everything going on in our country, it just doesn't make sense. You know, it doesn't make sense that we're in 2020 and we're still fighting for equality based on skin color. And, you know, as members of the WNBA, we always seem to be at the forefront of social justice, whether it was when I was a rookie, before I was in the league, or even now in the bubble. And it was something where basketball and life are intertwined. You know, what we do on and off the court are something that are going to continue to be intertwined, and we're going to continue to use our platforms because there's no other way to do it. You know, we need to continue to reach our communities, and, you know, we don't all have the same communities. So for me, going into this WNBA season, it was more about what we were doing off the court than what we were doing on the court. You know, representing Breonna Taylor, representing Black Lives Matter, continuing to seek justice and amplify the message, and not just have it be this season, you know, 2020 season, have it be something that is continually talked about, because our country's problem, our world's problem with racism is not going away overnight. And it's something that we all need to continue to dedicate ourselves to and continue to learn how to be better.
Yeah, and I think what you guys have done in regards to social justice is incredible, in the way that you guys have been so visible on the topic, as well as other topics about social justice, has been great. WNBA seems to always be that trailblazing league, and given that it's only, I think, a year younger than you, it seems like that's just something that has always been on brand with them. How do you hope to see the league grow in your time as a player?
I hope to see the league grow in a lot of different ways as I continue through my WNBA career. And, you know, from where it was when I started to where it's going to be when I finish, I hope it's a dramatic difference as far as, you know, the rights that the players are given. Obviously, we had a new CBA, collective bargaining agreement, which raised our salaries, gave us more benefits, helped people who want to become mothers or, you know, plan for that in the future, and just continue to give opportunities to the WNBA players, because, you know, before it wasn't always easy. But I think that, you know, we're just scratching the surface of where we need to go. And for me, it's continuing to fight to make sure that we're continually appreciated. And I think that, you know, people don't realize, and I don't know why they don't realize, but we're the best at what we do. We're the best women's basketball players in the world. We're the best women's basketball league in the world, and people need to recognize that. And I think that, you know, it goes beyond what the WNBA is doing, but what these other people are doing. I see these platforms, I don't know if you saw this on Instagram, but where it's like ESPN and Bleacher Report and Sports Illustrated and all these things, they're not highlighting women's sports. And, you know, that's something that needs to continue to change. So I hope that as my career goes on, that focus is going to kind of switch, and people in women in sports are going to continue to get more attention going forward.
What advice would you give any young girl who's an athlete in any sport watching this today?
Advice that I would give to any young athlete or young girl is to continue to reach your dreams, you know, reach for your dreams. I think the sky's the limit. And I think especially now in 2021, it is a turning point. You know, women are getting more opportunities, but they're also not just being given them, they're taking them. So take your opportunity when you see it, and continue to, you know, realize your worth and go after what you want.
All right, last question. Former Hooper to current Hooper GOAT. You could play any player, man, woman, retired, active, just you and them. Who are you taking and why?
if I could play any player one-on-one, I'm playing against Kai Moon. Because we just did this great panel, and I've heard a lot about what you did at Binghamton, and I think it would be a fun game.
I would like to have that matchup someday if it comes around, so I'll keep hope alive for that. But thank you so much for being here, for sitting down, taking the time to talk to me and everybody on behalf of Binghamton University. Thank you so much. Good luck with everything going forward, and it was an honor to sit down and talk to you today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Brianna and Kai, all I can say is wow. That was a fabulous interview. Brianna, you are such an inspiration to not only all of us, but all those young girls and aspiring female athletes of all ages. We are so very honored that you have shared your journey with us this evening. Thank you. And congrats to you, Kai, for your once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to speak and interview one of the greatest NCAA and WNBA champions of all time. It was a slam dunk. Well done. And by the way, best of luck in that upcoming one-on-one game against Brianna. Will she be spotting you any points? The next segment of tonight's event will include a live question and answer panel presented by Huff Ice Cream, Air Temp Heating and Air Conditioning, Lourdes Hospital, Andrew R. Mancini Associates, and Delta Engineering, architects, land surveyors, and landscape architects. And now, please welcome our 4 distinguished Binghamton University alums. Rose Barr, the Executive Director of Sales, Service, and Business Strategy for the New York Yankees. Jennifer Cavalquinto, Special Advisor and former Chief Executive Officer for the Golden State Warriors. Kate Townley, Director of Baseball Administration for the Minnesota Twins. And our 4th and final panelist, Lauren Verusio, Head of Consumer Communications for Google YouTube. This year's panel will be moderated by our very own 2020 America East Women's Basketball Player of the Year, Kai Moon. And don't forget, at the conclusion of our live Q&A, we're going to take you for a behind-the-scenes look with President Stenger as he tries to keep up with our amazing women athletes. You do not want to miss that.